genuine question. Has anyone out there actually heard of this game before? Fling Smash was developed by Artoon and published by Nintendo for the Wii in 2010. Fun fact, this was their second last game that they ever developed, the last one being The Last Story. Fitting name. To me though, their most notable game is Yoshi's Island for the Nintendo DS. The story of the game takes place on an island called Sufin Island. This island is said to have the power to protect the world from harm, and the island's power comes from a really big tree, the Great Palm Tree. Everything was nice and peaceful on the island, until BAM! Dark clouds and an evil fortress just decided to appear over the island. We then get to see the evil mastermind behind it all, as he sends his minions out and declares that he wants the power of the island to take over the world. This isn't the first time this has happened though, so the king knows that he has to awaken the hero who's locked away in a chest. Hey, that's us, and our name is Zip. We awaken, and our job is to collect these powerful pearls and use their power to defeat all the bad guys. As we load into level 1 here, let me explain to you the gameplay. This game is a 2D side-scroller, and our objective throughout these levels is to collect free medals so we can collect the Power Pearl at the end of the level. If we don't get enough medals, we have to repeat the stage until we do. Now thankfully, the game gives us some leeway and puts 5 medals per level, so we're allowed to miss 2 per level. Now Zip here is essentially a living pinball. We send him flying in a direction, and most of the time just hope for the best. There's a bunch of blocks to break, enemies to kill, and various things we can do to try and rack up more points. This game really wants you to get the highest score that you can each level, but a high score is not required to keep progressing. There are extra mini-games you can unlock by getting high scores, but we will not be going over those today. We have the ability to charge up a strike by not moving for a while. the ability to stop ourselves in the air, and various power-ups that we can find along the way that do different things, including, but not limited to, splitting into 3 different parts, growing in size, and always having our charge attack ready. Besides that, there's also this dragon that follows us and will eat us if we fall behind for too long, taking away one of our lives. And that right there is all the basics of this game. Each world has some unique twist on things that we'll be going over. The very next level introduces us to areas called Dark Space. Here we can't move like normal and have to make all our shots from a specific point. There's a few different objectives the game will make us do here, and we have to complete it within the time limit if we want that medal. That's really the only new thing for World 1, as it's just introducing us to the game. After defeating 3 levels, we have to face the boss of each world. We take our 3 pearls and make our way up to one of the platforms surrounding the fortress. Here we get to meet our first boss. It's never really made clear in the game if any of the bad guys have names or not, but essentially this is just a big pufferfish lake creature who blows a lot of wind. And he's the guy who spread all of the blocks we see around the island. All boss fights pretty much just need you to smack into their weak area a bunch of times, and that's it. I actually managed to get stuck in a corner, hitting this guy's weak spot a bunch of times for big damage, so that was pretty lucky. But with just a few more smacks, he goes down, and with that, we move on to World 2. Here in World 2, we get introduced to cannons. It's pretty straightforward, right? You get in one, and it fires you in the direction it's facing. There's also one level where we travel upwards instead of to the left for a while, but don't worry about it. It's pretty much the same thing we've been doing. Oh, and also, I'm playing as the female character Pip for now. No differences besides aesthetics. The second boss is a robot, and we just have to hit him from behind. At one point though, he gets a little angry at us and we lose a life.
Falcon Punch!
Despite that though, we take him down in the end. On to World 3. For World 3, one of his minions decided to turn us into metal. A pretty effective strategy, I have to say. With that, our ability to fly through the air is very limited as we now have gravity to deal with. But luckily, we get the help of magnets that help us traverse these next few levels. And that's about it as far as gimmicks go for this world. The boss fight for this world is really just fighting a bully from Mario 64, where we keep trying to push each other off the platform. This guy ends up taking 2 of my lives, but we don't talk about that. But like the others, we defeat him and move on to World 4. The gimmick of World 4 is that we're small and can no longer do charge attacks. I wish there was more to say, but there really isn't. That being said though, I still wanted to show some gameplay from this world, so here we are.
Oh, I missed!
The boss of this world is this guy. He's a block manipulator. And that's all I got for this guy. I'll let the gameplay give you a better picture. But with that boss defeated, we move on to World 5. World 5 has water that we bounce off of, and we can make the water level go down for a bit. Yeah, that's about it. The boss of World 5 is against this mecha crab. And honestly, I find this to be pretty cool, even though it took me a bit to figure out how to get out of this guy's attacks. Either way, here's some gameplay of what is, in my opinion, the coolest boss so far. World 6 introduces us to Gust of Wind, windmill obstacles, and even a little bit of trampolines. If we get caught in a gust of wind, we just have to follow its path until the end. Now you are able to escape them, but in general, it still makes it harder to get where you want to. The boss for World 6 is fighting some clouds. The gimmick here is that he splits up into copies of himself, but we're only able to damage the original copy for the most part. Now this was the easiest boss in the game, and I'll let you guys see why. And with this boss defeated, we move on to World 7. World 7 has us underwater this time, and there's actually more that I can say about this world compared to others. The most simple gimmick in this world is water currents, which really it's what I explained for the wind earlier, but underwater. The next thing in this world are these spiky enemies that will send us flying all over the place if we touch them when their spikes are out. And lastly, we have the dragon. After following us for the entire game, he's finally tired of everyone else's incompetence and just wants to kill us himself, which he's pretty good at. At times, he will prepare to suck in a bunch of water, and if we're in his way, we just get eaten. It's a one-hit kill. Our next boss is a giant fish. The boss will charge at us, try to eat us, and eventually he gets cannons and tries shooting bombs at us. Overall, this is a pretty fun boss fight. And finally, we move on to the last world of the game. This world throws a lot of tricks at us from the previous worlds. We get a vertical level, we get turned to metal, and we even get turned tiny again. Despite all these obstacles, we still manage to finally get to the fortress where we can confront the evil mastermind once and for all. And I have to say, this soundtrack is quite the banger if you ask me. As we arrive at the final boss, we try what we know best and just throw ourselves at the enemy. But to our surprise, he has this dark barrier surrounding him, making him immune to our attacks. As we give up though, the powerful pearls that we've been collecting this entire game come to our side, and are able to break the barrier for us. With that out of the way, we can finally fight him and save the day, and our island. Alright guys, I'm gonna let this final boss play out in its entirety as I ramble on a little. First off, if you've actually made it this far in the video, thank you, it means a lot. Makes me wonder if there are still people who think about this game even today, or if some curious minds just happen to wander over here. This is a game I remember playing growing up, and never beat it, so I wanted to revisit it. In fact, I still have the Wii disc to this day, just not sure if it works or not. I have to say real quick that this last boss fight is pretty cool. I'm very glad the dragons came to fight us, that just feels right to me. For as little as I had to say about some of the worlds, I still found this game to be pretty entertaining. The different gimmicks they throw at you throughout the worlds are just enough to stop it from feeling repetitive or boring. And if you're a person who wants to get an S mark on every stage, it's pretty challenging to do so. I know I didn't. There was only one stage in this game where it took me 3 or 4 tries to get all the medals, and that was in World 3 I think out of all the worlds. Anyway, this is a short little game. It took me 2.5 hours to beat it. I am playing this on an emulator, so if you're looking for some entertainment for a few hours, and then probably never come back to this game to be honest, then I definitely have to say that this is a good game to try out. With all that being said, thank you to anyone who has watched all the way. Until next time, this has been Shady Mongoose, and I hope you all have a great day.